Hello, good afternoon, everyone. It's going to take a little while for everybody to trickle in. We, as always, on a Sunday, we are competing with the Iron Lords, but we don't mind. We do what is necessary. We just focus on our own community. How are you today, Jen? Anyway, what you been up to?
Too bad. Just been playing some games. Played a lot of that Nexomon because you gifted that to me. Thanks for that, mate. That was a great gift, and I'm really enjoying that game. It holds up well against Pokemon. I'll say that for sure. It's a lot of fun. Played a lot of Flynn, Son of Crimson as well, and I'm enjoying that. I'm stuck on a bit though with a boulder, and I can't seem to get past it because I'm not quick enough. What else have I been playing? I played some Gears 5 with Jordan.
Asa, I wish we could undercut with a devious 530 star. It's hard going, but
that's pretty much what I've been playing. Just those games in rotation. I did try playing Transformers Battlegrounds, and I played it for about 2 minutes, and I was like, I'm not feeling this at the moment, so I'll come back to that later.
I played one that you used to like.
Death Stranding as well. I almost forgot.
Are you trying to get back into it then?
Yeah, I'm actually enjoying it this time around. Taking it more as a chill game. I'm just gonna boot up every now and then and slowly go through it, kind of like what I'm doing with Red Dead 2.
To be fair, it's a pretty chill game anyway, though, isn't it?
Yeah. I love the soundtrack to it as well. It's got one of the best soundtracks ever in it.
Really nice soundtrack, especially when you're just walking along and then one of the soundtracks builds up and gets really loud.
It's amazing. One of the bands in it is one of my favorite bands, Low Raw. It's so good.
Yeah. It's a really good game, to be fair, and it took me by surprise because at first I was like, what is this walking thing? Like, it's literally just walking, but it's not. There's the deep story behind it, and the walking's only necessary. It's not like it's not like you do just walking around to deliver parcels for the sake of delivering parcels. Like, you have to get from point A to point B to deliver supplies for cut off areres, and
and there's a reason, like rebuilding the country and all that slowly over time.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying that. It's not bad. I tapped out around about 9 hours the first time I got into it, and I'm probably about 5-ish hours into it now.
Nice.
So I'm just going to continue slowly going through that. Not in no rush to get through it. I know it's quite a longish game anyway, so
it is. I think I've got about I've got to the part where you are just about to use the boat for the first time
and go to another location.
Yeah, it's the first time. It's to go to another location, and that's where I've kind of paused on it for a second, just played other things for a little bit, because again, like you say, you don't want to. Specifically me, I've got gaming ADHD, so I don't want to try and just play something and get bored of it and then turn it off. I just wanted to right, okay, I've played quite a bit of this. I'm going to have a break from it, play something else.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing lately, just jumping from game to game, just trying a lot of stuff out. Oh yeah, I played another game, South Park: The Stick of Truth, which I played a long time ago. But I got it for free on my PlayStation. I think it came with the second South Park game, and I got the first one free with it. So I'm just replaying that.
Nice,
a good time with it.
I've been playing. There's quick resumes. That helps so much. I mean, specifically the fact that we desperately need a quick resume when it comes to PlayStation.
Oh yeah, quick resume is a godsend for the little single player games.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially with Red Dead. I loaded that up. It was a couple of weeks ago. I hadn't played it for weeks before, and I loaded it up. exactly where I left off. It's just amazing.
Yeah,
Especially if like you forget to save.
I've just installed Red Dead 2 again, and I still haven't turned it on. But that's because, like, a lot of people, and although like it is a Marmite game, but like a lot of people have been playing Pokemon like pretty much non-stop since it came out, and I'm almost to the bitter end. Like I said, I talked about the cheap final boss who has an 8 Pokemon team instead of your standard 6.
That's pretty ridiculous. And it
You
doesn't
can't
show that
heal
he's got
between.
8. It just shows that he's got
No, it
6.
shows 6. Like the first time you fight him, you don't realize. So you're only fighting against 6. You're like, oh, thank God for this. And he's like complaining that he's lost, and he's like, it's not over yet. And then the legendary Pokemon flies out from the back of him and like helps him.
That's a bit weird.
And it's got 2 forms. So and you can't heal between his 6 and the final 2.
What?
So you just
That's a bit weird. That.
Yeah, it's cheers, Asa. I know there's we're short on the old crowd today, but thanks very much for the support, brother. Enjoy. Are you going swimming? If you are going swimming, enjoy. If you're not, if you're just sitting in the stands, I hope you've got xCloud or something with you to keep you occupied. Enjoy.
Hope your phone's waterproof as well, just in case you drop it.
Yes. But yeah, it is really cheap. Like you can't heal or anything between it. So whatever Pokemon's been smashed together in the initial fight, like that's it for the final one.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Unless you've got like Pokemon that can leech life off of other Pokemon.
Yeah. All swimming. All right. Enjoy, Asa. Have a good one. Yeah, it's I desperately need to figure out how to get past that final section. But there's just a smidge of health left on the final form, and then I died. So I just needed to use the revives a bit more, I think. I've got one legendary Pokemon that's a bit of a bullet, like a bullet sponge, a damage sponge. So you can take quite a bit. So I'm going to use him later on in the fight instead to kind of revive everybody, get everybody back on track, and then max portion them. Then let him die, go into the final form so I can smash that Giratina to bits.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Because there's no way I'm getting a Nintendo Switch anytime soon.
That's the thing. This is exactly why that Nexamon's really good, because it's for those who don't want to invest loads in another console just to play a Pokemon kind of game. Then Nexamon's your perfect stand-in. It's not a cheap copy. Yeah, it's not a cheap copy. It's its own game. It's got its own little quirks. It's got its nice art style. Like the art style is lovely.
It sort of takes like low-key jabs at certain elements in those sort of monster catching games that can sort of be silly, and it just makes fun of itself as well. And that's what I like about it. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's a nice chill game.
Yeah,
I think I'm about 4.5 hours, maybe 5 hours into that now. I'm just having a good time with that. Just catching Nexamon. Always got to remember to call them Nexamon and not Pokemon.
Yes.
Yeah. Essentially, it is just like a Pokemon clone, but it's probably the best Pokemon clone that is out there.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And this is why I loved another Nintendo game that they haven't brought back yet that went up against Final Fantasy quite easily. But it was also in the same kind of art style as Pokemon at the time, and that was Golden Sun. That game was just phenomenal. Like, I still have very fond memories of Golden Sun, and you'll see a lot of people ask Nintendo repeatedly, like, bring back Golden Sun. It is probably the best.
Never even heard of it until you just mentioned it.
One of the best JRPGs like they ever made. And it was a really, really good game. The art style itself as well was above and beyond everything that had come before it, even for a Game Boy Advanced game. It was just phenomenal. And they really needed to press on with it, but they stopped after the second one, which is a shame.
That's strange. It did well. I don't understand why they stopped it.
I know. It is a shame, but like I say, hopefully going forward there'll be much more going on, much more people involved. So, but never mind. Yes, gaming news this week. It's been quite a bit indeed. I think we'll cover off the one that's been covered a lot already recently, because I think we'll cover it pretty quickly. That is PlayStation buying Bungie or Sony buying Bungie.
Yeah, the big one that everyone's been going on about all week.
Yep.
Saying a lot of people are saying it's a Sony reaction to the Activision deal, which there's no way it is. They've been talking about this in the background for quite some time.
Yeah. I mean,
there's no way
obviously,
you cook up a deal that quick.
It's exactly. The purchases of this size, whether it's 1 billion or 70 billion, don't happen in 2 weeks.
If anything, it's a response to the Bethesda deal.
100%.
And they need that sort of company anyway. Like,
and what's your thoughts on the overall takeover of Bungie then? Do you think that's a good fit? What do you think about the strategy?
I think it's a weird fit, but it makes sense for Sony. They need a strong company that can sort of teach them how to do FPS games right, and it makes a whole lot of sense when you think about it that way.
Yeah,
that's something that Sony have needed for such a long time, is great first-person shooters, and they've tried with games like Killzone and Resistance, but they always seem to stumble in the multiplayer department.
oh yeah,
I think Killzone Shadowfall was the only Killzone multiplayer that I really tried out, and it was okay, but it weren't no Halo, it weren't no Doom multiplayer, it weren't no Quake, it weren't nothing like those games. Didn't really have a whole lot of people that were into it. But yeah, they need a company like that. What doesn't make sense to me though is how they're going to continue to make games multi-platform. I think eventually it's going to get to a point where they're going to make an exclusive for Sony, because it doesn't make no sense to spend that kind of money just for Destiny and whatever they're working on next, and that still be coming to the Xbox and PC and all that. Of course, not that PC is a big issue, because Sony are slowly getting into that PC market anyway. But yeah, I don't get that though. It doesn't make sense in that department. If they're going to buy it, just make those future games exclusive.
Yeah, I wouldn't begrudge them for it. That's exactly what you do. Like, if you're purchasing a company specifically for the volume that they've purchased it for, which is over the asking price by a long shot. And then you can't deny that either, because of course there's a difference between purchasing something and saying, "Oh, we purchased it for the technology," which they have in some circumstances. They purchased it for games as a service. They've purchased it for the multiplayer kind of side of things, the expertise from Bungie, etc. But I mean, based on the actual facts that we know of, usual compensation for staff is retention specifically in the game industry anyway, when they buy out a company, is around anything up to like $1 million at most per head. And in this particular transaction, it's around about $4 million per person at Bungie, which is ridiculous.
Didn't someone work it out? They paid, I think it's like around 17 to 18 times plus than what they should have paid for them.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much money they spent on that.
It could be that Bungie was just playing hardball, and
yeah, and then there's also that
like we want to be independent, but if we're not going to be, this is the figure.
Yeah, and then there's like that story going around that they approached Microsoft first for much less,
and Microsoft said no.
Doesn't make much sense. Why would they offer Microsoft much less and then offer Sony a lot more?
Probably because they know Microsoft don't need them.
That's a good point. Sony do need it. They need the expertise more than they need
Microsoft or
anything else.
How many games as a service games do Microsoft have now? You've got Grounded, Sea of Thieves, Forza Horizon,
Halo now.
Halo. What else? There's a substantial amount of games as a service games on the platform, as well as third-party games as a service games. Whereas, obviously, you've got Call of Duty Warzone, games as a service, Destiny, games as a service, and now Destiny's remaining multi-plat apparently, so there's another games as a service. But one of the things that PlayStation said as well is they want to make 10 games as a service games by 2026. And personally, when I heard them say 10, I thought that's saturation. Like you're overdoing it.
by
10.
2026.
They're overdoing it on the games as a service games in that instance. Like, that's a lot. Like, games as a service games are games that people will invest their time in for the entire duration of its lifespan.
Exactly.
Like, Sea of Thieves has a hardcore community. Grounded, for the small enough games that it is, has a hardcore community. Like, Cole Eastwood's continuously saying that his kids are literally on Grounded all the time. They
I
love
see
it.
him tweet about it all the time. He plays that game with his kids. So
Yeah, and they love it. But obviously, we know Xbox Mick. He's forever on Sea of Thieves. Like, there's not a day goes by where he's not doing a little bit there, or he's playing late night with his crew.
he loves that game. Like, you can see it in the intro in his channel. He absolutely adores that game. So
100%. And rightfully so. The game is absolutely amazing. Like, it's such a great game. The only reason I haven't played Sea of Thieves more is because I don't have the crew to be on it all the time. If I had a dedicated crew, like, obviously if I was on it, I'd have to make sure Mick was on at all times, and then another 2-3 people continuously, and just do loads of quests all the time.
I love Sea of Thieves, but it's not a game that I'll ever get into for like a solid length of time myself. I just like to pop in and pop out on it
every now and again, but I don't. At the same time, I want to get into the game more because I love it. I absolutely love Sea of Thieves. I love everything about it. It's so whimsical. I love just sailing around with the full crew and like finding treasure and solving riddles and
It's crazy
getting
to
into
see how
fights
far that
with other
game's
people.
come though. Like from its launch to now,
It's
it's
phenomenal.
doing numbers. People love that game.
Yeah. But again, that's what we're talking about, games as a service communities and how great they can be. But you're talking about maybe four solid games as a service communities that Xbox have built up.
Yeah.
Whereas they're saying 10 by 2026 just seems like a little bit overboard.
Yeah, Darren. I think their aim is 10, but I don't think we'll get 10. How many of those may be cancelled?
Or maybe smaller ones, like the likes of Minecraft, etc. Evening
be,
Gamers Watch Crew, evening Vin. How are you going, brothers?
Hello. But yeah, like they definitely need a team that can help guide them through live service. Bungie had their struggles when they initially got into it, and they've learned from it. And that's the perfect team to teach all their other teams. And I think that's what this
100%.
deal's more about than anything.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know what they'd produce. Personally, for me, when I seen them take over Bungie, I just thought, great, they're going to have a nice, brand new single player FPS game at some point in the future. That's exclusive to the platform, and that's what they need.
Well, that's what I thought at first when they purchased Bungie. I thought, oh, now they've got the team that they need to make that Halo killer that they've been trying to make for so long.
100%.
But the biggest part that don't make sense is that Bungie are allowed to put their games wherever they want. For that amount of money, that's kind of strange to me.
That's a good comment, actually. Gamers Watch, you are right. Bungie's live service with the storytelling of a Sony exclusive would be fantastic.
Well, it's not just that though. Like we've seen in the past, Bungie can make killer stories. They just fumbled with Destiny 1. Like since Destiny 1, Destiny's story has been pretty good in my opinion. Like I don't play Destiny, but I'll go on YouTube and I'll watch the cutscenes and the story parts just because of how good they're put together.
Yeah.
So Bungie can do that on their own.
Because obviously they killed off one of the big characters. I think was it the end of the first one or the beginning of the next? Was it Cade?
I think it was
Cade, which was like the guy with like the mad helmet, the sniper, whatever he was.
Yeah,
they killed him off, and then they potentially brought him back in some way, shape, or form.
I think that was in the third big DLC that they released. I'm blanking on the name of it now.
Cade 6. Yeah,
they killed him like right at the beginning of that DLC. Spoiler alert.
May he rest in peace, the legend. But I'm intrigued to see what they do with it, to be honest. And like I say, I'd much rather Sony be a bit ruthless with this Bungie acquisition and not just go, oh well, Microsoft have done Call of Duty, so we're going to be nice and put Bungie on everything. No, fuck that.
Like they need those multiplayer games exclusive, like Halo.
Yeah, exactly. Be ruthless. Like this is the whole point of competition. Like, if one person's doing something, then you fucking do it. Like, like Call of Duty, you can absolutely guarantee, which is why Microsoft have come out and said, after like the 2020, like the 3 releases that have got these fixed agreements in place, after that, we have no idea what's going on with Call of Duty. They know, they're just not saying it. They are going to be exclusive titles going forward. Warzone will remain multi-plat.
Yeah, people want Microsoft and Sony to be competitive, and this feels like a move that's not a competitive move.
It's not competitive, and it needs to be. Like, fine, keep Destiny multi-plat. It's games as a service. That makes sense. But future titles from Bungie working as part of Sony need to be exclusive for Sony.
Unless they're doing the old Jim Ryan, he's going to pull the rug from out under here at the last minute and go, ha, it's exclusive.
Yeah.
We lied again.
They definitely, I have to agree as well. They definitely need to move outside their box, not outside of the box, but their own, because they have become heavily reliant on their own templates. And they know, and obviously he's mentioned this before, but Jim Ryan's last on-video interview, when he was talking about sales numbers and things, he's like, it's great, but it's not good enough.
Yeah.
Yes, or merch.
They're eyeing up that that PC market, and you bet your ass day and date is coming to PC as well.
Oh, 100%. But it needs to be, that's what I'm saying though, like they need to, specifically for them, they've said, like, it's great having 15 to 20 million sales for a game, but there's no longevity in that. Like, that's once every 5 years per studio they'll release something like that. So it's not sustainable. They have no monetary returns on any games outside of third parties. None. Like, outside of the initial sales figures, there is nothing else coming into the business. And this is where Microsoft have hit it on the head, because they have games that are specifically single player and there's no microtransactions. Then they have live service games like Sea of Thieves and Grounded and things like that. Well, Grounded doesn't have microtransactions, does it? That's a bit weird.
I'd imagine it probably will at some point, maybe when it comes out
but
of beta.
Not right now. It doesn't. Yeah, I just clicked there. I was like, wait a second, that's a live service game with no recurring. That is so weird. But anyway, Sea of Thieves, for instance, Minecraft now. Obviously, that's multi-plat. Obviously,
Minecraft's huge.
Keep it that
Always
way.
will be huge. Minecraft.
But that's exactly the same. That's got recurring because it's got its own store, but the store revolves around creators putting things in the store that they've made. So the creators get a slice and Xbox get a slice, which is brilliant. That's a really good way of doing it. It's like, okay, well, yeah, you can create these fantastic worlds and you can actually recoup your time by getting paid for these creations that you've made, which is phenomenal for that. But I think this is what Sony have clicked on to. They're like, we need games as a service games because it helps fill the financial gap in between the releases of these gigantic AAAs.
I need a lot more diversity as well. Xbox has pushed for diverse games over the last, I've lost count how many years now. You can see it in their purchases, like Activision, the amount of different diverse genres of games they've got.
Both of them have
just
said
through that.
Yeah, both of them have said as well. Both Microsoft and Activision have both said we're so happy that this is like the purchase has happened for the sake of our back catalog, because we haven't put the treatment into the back catalog and couldn't because we didn't have the assets and the workforce to be able to make the most of all these IPs. But we're confident that going forward, Microsoft will be able to action that.
Yeah. I think I've got a little bit of a crazy theory about this Bungie and Sony thing, and I don't necessarily believe this myself, but it kind of feels like Sony might just be eyeing at the entire landscape of gaming, because we know their games sell like crazy. We know that they're interested in putting more of their games on PC, and eventually it's going to go day and date.
Yeah. 100%. That's going to be sooner rather than later. 100% it is. They've seen the immediate returns of God of War. Like that was I'm sure in the top selling for 3-4 weeks in a row.
It was crazy. Like it went to the top of Steam's charts within a matter of minutes.
Yeah.
And just part of me thinks that Sony are looking at putting their consoles, at their games on multiple platforms rather than
I
just.
think certain games, like the games as a service games, yes. I think anybody who thinks that they're going to start putting the AAA titles onto Xbox is probably reaching a bit. But they're definitely going to be pushing it onto.
I wouldn't be surprised though. But I can't see it happening.
I can't see it happening.
At least for a long time.
Definitely 100% it's going to PC day and date within the next. Now, I'm going to accelerate my view and say within the next 2 years, it'll be day and date. Originally, I said probably mid-gen, but I think day and date within the next 2 years. And by the way, I think this gen's going to be the longest we've ever had. I think this gen's going to be 9-10 years.
I think they may even be looking at that God of War Ragnarok going down date, or maybe 3 to 6 months later.
Yeah, I fully agree. I fully agree. I think Ragnarok could very well already have a PC port in development, after literally coming off the back of the previous God of War.
I'm just laughing at.
Yeah,
I'm assuming that's Harry's message.
Yeah,
tinfoil hat time.
I also agree with that final point by Harry or Sean. I think Square would definitely be an exclusive to PlayStation. At some point, I think they will purchase them. I wouldn't put it against them. They've had the longer relationship with them since the start. If it wasn't for the fact that they ousted Nintendo, but even then, that wasn't a personal thing. That was Nintendo saying, sorry, no, that was Square saying we need bigger media files. Like we can't put all of our games on these little cartridges anymore. We need to have like a bit bigger multimedia thing to use it from. So we're going to be going with PlayStation because they've got CDs and we can use that.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see Square and Sony.
And obviously, the relationship's been like this with Square ever since. So it makes sense. I still think 14 as an MMO will end up multi-plat. I think as a games as a service thing, if it went to them, they'd be pushing it to get multi-plat sooner rather than later because it brings in more revenue. And I'm really surprised, to be honest, that Square are not pushing for this to be multi-plat sooner rather than later to bring in more revenue. Not only that, but with Microsoft's help with servers, they'll be able to massively increase their server space to get more people onto it. And we've seen how popular that game is. Like, I would play it, but I don't plan on like playing anything on the PlayStation because I don't have a community on there myself. That's the only reason I haven't started 14. Because you can go right now, download 14 for free and play up to level 60 if you wanted to test it out. But I don't plan on doing that because I don't have a community. I don't have a big long list of friends like I do on Xbox.
Yeah.
It would be a waste of time.
Same for me on PlayStation. I've got like a very small friends list on PlayStation in comparison to the Xbox.
Yeah.
Vin put a comment in the chat. He thinks Sony will make a Destiny movie / series, and that's probably another reason why this deal went through, because we do know that Bungie want to make the Destiny franchise bigger than just games.
Yeah. It's a good point there as well. Daily numbers of people playing Destiny 2 right now, 700,000, and less of a quarter than that is Sony. For me, Sony needs 100%. They 100% need a multiplayer game to compete with Xbox. That is one of their niches. And Xbox have said the same thing about these third-person, over-the-shoulder action RPG, like action adventures. Like, they need to get one. Matt Booty has said it himself. Like, Sony are masters at creating those types of games. They are phenomenal movie game-like experiences that have like these rich, in-depth characters and story arcs, and like the quality of the action adventure story games are second to none. Microsoft know it, and they've said that themselves. Like, they are the kings in that particular regard, but they want to do something more like that for Xbox. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do with it. And I think Hellblade is going to be one of the first that does that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But you are, again, we've said it before, and I'll say it again. the multiplayer segment, Sony know, just like Xbox know on the single player side, Sony know that they need a big multiplayer game now.
They definitely
they haven't had one and they need one.
Their last multiplayer game that actually did
you know what it is
well.
though? They've been talking about factions for fucking ages.
I was just about to say that was the last multiplayer game, third-person multiplayer game that actually did okay for them.
Yeah, and it needs to come out and really hit its strides in the next one. Really needs to.
We could probably see that come out this year. Fractions.
Yeah, I'd probably say that as well.
About? I'm losing my mind. I can't even sentence today.
Yeah, can't sentence today. Try again. SOCOM, well, Vin, on this occasion, you're not getting a timeout because we are talking PlayStation. SOCOM would be great.
Oh yeah,
if they did it right, but even Resistance would be great if they did it right. The problem with Resistance Shadowfall, not Resistance Shadowfall. What was the last?
Killzone Shadowfall.
Killzone as well. They shouldn't have killed Killzone off. What they needed to do was just make a better game. Like Killzone itself had a good concept. It was okay, but it could certainly be improved. And I think as a whole, in terms of its visual fidelity, it's all right, Muppet. Enjoy your food. In terms of visual fidelity, Killzone was tremendous. It was an absolute technical and artful showpiece when it came onto the PlayStation, when it launched with it. Like it was
one of the reasons phenomenal. Why I wanted to get the PlayStation 4, because I watched some of the campaign for Killzone and it looked really good.
And it ended up being really
only Killzone I played because of it looked good. I never played any of the other ones because it didn't interest me.
Yep. But then the other the Killzone itself, in terms of its story, was pretty poor, which is what killed it off. Like the story arc and the gameplay loop was terrible, but it looked pretty. So they had the prettiness down. So fine, you've already got the how good it looks down. Right, that's great. You don't need to refine that too much more. You just do what you do, which is create these beautiful looking games, but just work on the story a bit more. Or work on the gameplay. So the gameplay was crap in comparison to most other first-person shooters. And the enemies, like even I remember watching Angry Joe, and we'll refer to him often, but he has the perfect ways of showcasing why games aren't as good as they should be. And on Killzone, when that come out, if you go back to Angry Joe's review for it, he shows a moment in time where you're standing there, you kill all the enemies, and if you stand there for 30 seconds longer, or even just move around in the area for 30 seconds longer, the same enemies respawn again. And then respawn again, and then respawn again, and then respawn again, and it's just this constant cyclical loop. And that's the problem that they had, is it didn't progress there. So the combat, it was just the same old stuff, and there wasn't anything fun about it. So they do need a really good first-person shooter going forwards, whether that be SOCOM, Resistance, and Resistance is an old one that they could bring back. That was more like their kind of first-person Gears-esque games.
Definitely.
And they probably need to bring either that, SOCOM, or Killzone back.
That was another PlayStation franchise I couldn't get into. I played the first one, never completed it. Played the second one, never completed it. Played the third one and never completed it. Yeah. So I tried to enjoy those games, but I couldn't get into them.
I hope that Sony, and it's kind of to round off this particular topic on Sony Bungie, I hope that Sony, going forward, keep the games as a service game, i.e. Destiny multiplat. Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense for recurring revenue and getting money from everybody. But whatever they create together going forward, do not put that on every platform. Make it PC, PlayStation only. PC, PlayStation only. All your games going forward, PC, PlayStation only. I don't care. Like, as a primary Xbox user, the one thing I want you to do is focus on one platform, because if you start focusing everything on every platform, that's going to degrade the quality of the game, because you're going to have developers spread so thin across the development process, trying to bug fix for 3, 4, 5 platforms.
Exactly.
In one
and that's
go.
Exactly what Todd Howard said, where he liked
why he's excited about being exclusive for Xbox, because he can focus on just the Xbox ecosystem.
Less of that stretching your resources too thin.
Yep. That's why exclusives are good for the industry, not just because it sells a box. It's not just because it sells a box. Like, if you look at the development aspect of exclusives, it means that they can focus all of their energy in one place and make the best thing possible.
Look at Call of Duty Vanguard, because that game was made for so many different platforms. How broken that was. If it focused just on Series X and PlayStation 5 and PC, it probably wouldn't have been as buggy a mess as it was.
And this is why I've got a little bit, as much as we love to hate on Bethesda, this is why I've got a little bit more optimism about Starfield's release. Because Starfield primarily, and we know that the Bethesda acquisition has been going on for a while before they were purchased.
That was a deal in the making.
That was a deal that was already done ages ago. Starfield was already only being developed for Xbox and PC. And when they announced it was only coming on Xbox and PC, that game is specifically only using that ecosystem. So the actual polish of that game is going to be far beyond any other Bethesda title. But then again, all Bethesda have to do is look at their other internal studios, like id Software, who created like Doom of all bloody things, one of the most polished games on anything ever. Like whether it's Nintendo Switch, whether it's Xbox, PlayStation, PC, like that thing runs like an absolute dream, and it didn't have any issues at all. Looks great, runs great, even in ray tracing mode, 60 frames a second. Like that's nuts. And that's got like full blown ray tracing in it. And that game just
120 FPS now.
Yeah. And it's insane. And just take note from your other internal studios. Like, how did you get that game to run and look that good? Right? Okay, this is what we do, and this is how we do our bug fixing, and this is how we kind of stabilize it and just take notes, work together. This is the whole point of Xbox bringing them into the ecosystem. Is like, right, everybody, if you need a help, just ask someone. It doesn't have to be your own studio. If your own studio is struggling with something, ask one of the other 30 studios we've got here that are good at doing what you want to do.
And that's what I expect Sony to do with Bungie.
They need to. They need to say, right, Bungie, help us with this games as a service and first-person shooter stuff. And Bungie, what do you need help with? Do you need help with making it look even prettier than it's ever looked before? Great stuff. We'll put Naughty Dog or Sony Santa Monica or someone on it. Or Guerrilla Games. Like 3 unbelievable developers that create really pretty games. Just put them on. Or Insomniac. Bloody hell.
Insomniac, good shout. Their new Spider-Man game is going to look crazy good. The first one was
the one thing that you can rely on for Sony games going forward. I mean, I've still got me reservations on Gran Turismo. That should most definitely have been next gen only. But I think the next one we'll see will be. But that's years away. But the only studio that isn't is and I've forgotten the name of their studio, but the guys who create GT, like they need to pull their fingers out. Like, in certain respects, it looks nice, but compared to the competition, like their game just flounders completely. But yes, 100% focus on exclusives and first persons going forward, and create some unbelievable experiences with the story.
That Halo killer.
Yeah, make the Halo killer that you talked about. You've got the original Halo devs, or at least the original parent company of the Halo devs, so create them.
Yeah, most of the Halo devs that were working on Halo moved on to 343.
Yeah, back to Halo. But anyway, moving swiftly into one of our next topics here, and I'm going to put a little bit of gameplay on that Harry is going to love in the chat. That's if it runs correctly, and it could run like a bag of shit, this video. I mean, then Harry would be like, oh, see, Halo runs crap. But yes, but other than that, the one thing that they need to do specifically for me is just focus on first persons, combine the story capabilities of the other platform, and you'll be golden. Absolutely golden. Say, oh god. There he is. Typical Halo. Yeah, but next topic, GTA 6. Do you want to take this one away, Jen?
I got a feeling it's not going to be GTA 6 because, like, their statement just says the next GTA game, and that to me just sounds like GTA Online 2.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah,
what I
I'll get
think the
that.
future of GTA is going to be, like an all online story. It's gonna have a good story without a doubt. It's Rockstar. They've made great stories in the past. GTA 5, Red Dead Redemption 2. But I think it's just going to be an all online story where your character grows over the live service that it is. So I don't see GTA being the traditional single player story anymore.
Yeah, I've got to agree with that. I think specifically for GTA, it will have a story mode. I think you're right. The story mode will probably be more built into an online infrastructure, but they'll definitely still have a story.
Yeah, because we've seen
Whether
it.
that
Like
whether that's kind of built into an online world, so a bit like with Sea of Thieves, for instance, and we keep comparing to another game as a service game. But if on Sea of Thieves, you've got your kind of story mode things now, but they're built into the online. You could see them do something like that where the online and the single player are kind of interwoven. So you'll be doing your single player.
The way I see it from my perspective is you'll have the option to play a single player.
Yeah.
But you can then play a co-op with your friends or randoms. Just the way that Rockstar have been constantly supporting GTA Online, that shows me that their future lies in live service, and it'll be a live service story. You'll make your character will enter the world of whatever GTA Online it decides to be, whether they set it in Vice City or GTA London. And I see it being an ever-growing world. So your character will grow as the game goes on. The story will change. Maybe they'll have some sort of story options in there. And you'll just grow that character from day one to however long this live service GTA will last.
You know what I really loved about GTA 5 though? Like I love the single player campaign, and my favorite character probably of any GTA was Franklin, Trevor.
Yeah, Trevor
was
crazy.
just brilliant. Absolutely unbelievable character.
Switching back to Trevor, and he's in his underpants.
Yeah, yeah, just drunk on a road in his underpants.
But that's what I see for GTA. It'll still be a great story, without a doubt. But if people think that it's not going to be a live service game interwoven with a story, they're going to have a slap in the face, because we've seen them totally ignore Red Dead Redemption 2 online because it didn't do well. They didn't give that any story DLC. They didn't give GTA 5 any story DLC, but they gave GTA Online story DLC that continued some of the story in GTA 5. The fact that they put that story content in GTA Online to expand Franklin's story tells me that that's the direction they're going in. It's going to be multiplayer. It's going to be online live service, not just multiplayer. You'll have an option to play it solo. You'll just solo queue if you want.
Let's put a poll out in the chat then. Here's your poll. Personally, I still think it will definitely have a solid story. It's quite hard to see where they go with this, because both, unlike Red Dead, where the story mode was phenomenal and critically acclaimed, and the online was rubbish and didn't do well from the get-go, and they just didn't, and because it didn't do well straight away, they didn't bother continuing with it, really. They added a few little bits here and there, but nothing that would intentionally create more hype around the online on Red Dead.
Yeah, we've seen them abandon it, and we've seen the hashtags trending, save Red Dead Online.
And with the GTA, it was a bit different, because both the single player and the online were smash hits from the get-go. And the online and single player was more liked by people, specifically because it was own loads of cars, put them in a garage, buy houses, go gamble, do missions with your friends, collect all your guns, save up, get guns, customize your cars, go and get fighter jets and helicopters and planes, and there was so much more you could do with that online world that allowed them to then build the online infrastructure there and the ecosystem that pays the shark cards all the time and things like that. And then, of course, you had heists, and everyone loves doing the heists. But the problem with Red Dead Online was that it was so limited in its universe as to what they could do to really enhance it. Like, what are you just going to buy a stable and then get loads of different horses and get carriages? Or are you going to, what are you going to do? Like, you could do heists, yeah, but when what are you going to spend it on? Just more outfits. Like, it's so limited as to what you can do in a Red Dead Online universe for them to really take any
that's
money off
why
it.
it didn't do so well, and that's why we saw them push all their focus back onto GTA Online.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
And
So I think personally, it'll still have a single player and a multiplayer for GTA. I think if we're going to see another Red Dead going forwards, you would have Red Dead Online.
yeah, I think
I think they might incorporate a co-op for the story on Red Dead,
possibly,
but I don't think they'll ever do. And that's another thing they could hopefully do for GTA 6. And I might be reaching a bit here, thinking they're going to innovate and add something that other games don't. But a co-op for GTA's single player. Like that would be awesome to have a co-op for the single player. Like doing heists together and going through the story together, and like I jump in the car quickly, we need to run, we need to do this, we need to go here, do this story mode. It'd be awesome.
I got a feeling that NFTs are on the horizon for GTA Online too, or whatever they call it.
I mean, what do you
NFT
hope?
extension? You can sell it back later.
What do you hope to see from GTA 6? In a more positive note, what do you hope to see from it?
I would obviously hope for a traditional story, but a part of me obviously sees what Rockstar have done. Maybe I'm wrong, but who knows? I would like the traditional story.
Well, fingers crossed, because you never know.
I will remain hopeful. Maybe I'll be wrong.
Yeah.
A part of me also doesn't see Red Dead 3, and that's a shame. Just because I know Rockstar have been so focused on live service.
They have.
But I'll remain hopeful. Maybe we'll get Red Dead 3 in 30 years' time.
You never know.
I've grown less fond of Rockstar games over the years, especially after the Definitive Edition trilogy recently.
It's I just want to see them.
Scale band, Vin says.
Vin, you're going to get a timeout for that one. You're going to get a timeout for that one. I just want to see. I'm going to mute this, but it's going to put some gameplay on it. I just want to see GTA have a greater story as they did in GTA 5. They innovated in that sense because you could actually have you were playing as 3 separate characters at any one time, and you could actually switch between them whenever you wanted, really. There were certain segments where they blacked it out depending on what part of the story you were in, and you couldn't go to them. But I really hope that they do continue kind of innovating on it.
I hope so.
Do something similar like that. That's my hope for it anyway. I could be wrong. Could be miles off. But
I say they should do a female-led protagonist for a change, because like it's always been males in GTA. Just do a female.
Yeah.
Or if they're going to do a similar thing where there's multiple characters in it in the story, then throw a female in the story as well. So at least change it up a bit.
I've got to agree on that front. I want them to change it up a little bit. A little bit of IGN preview here of Crossfire X in the background now. which is
For
obviously
some reason, when you started this, I thought it was Dying Light 2.
yeah. And we'll be talking about this and the next one as well. So, Crossfire X's weird release for Xbox. So the game has had little to no advertisement. They've not really been pushing it. Remedy hasn't been pushing it. I think we know the reason now. Remedy haven't really been pushing it. They've assisted this company in making Crossfire X as opposed to making Crossfire X themselves. I think they're the support studio as opposed to Remedy making it and the other studio supporting them in making it.
Yeah.
But it's coming out on Game Pass in a very weird route. So Crossfire X obviously releases on February 10th. It releases with the multiplayer and half of the campaign in Game Pass.
It's so weird. I really don't
And the
understand
second
that.
half you have to purchase. Now, the logical route for that would be that the price of the game as a whole is so small that you wouldn't be inclined to not buy it if you did enjoy it. It's only £20 for everything, multiplayer and both campaigns. So it's a very cheap price. But then it comes in with a concern as to why is it only £20? Like this is meant to this is touted as an exclusive with Remedy. Why is the game only £20?
Weird. It's either going to be a really short campaign, or they're just trying to get half the game's worth of money out of people by making them buy like a DLC sort of part of the story.
It's just so strange, but it was just really weird seeing it as £20 for the Ultimate Edition, which includes everything.
I'd like to know how long the game is actually going to be. Do we know? Has there been any information on that?
No.
None at all. That's odd.
Nope.
We would have heard something by now. That's weird though. Like this game really hasn't even been advertised that much. It feels like it's come out of nowhere.
It's just very strange. I don't understand why they haven't really put the effort into it. Into advertising it for that point. They've only started advertising a little bit on Twitter the last couple of days. I'm hopeful on it. I mean, for £20, it's kind of a no lose situation. Like I don't if it's if it's terrible, I haven't wasted £60 on it.
Like, I'm gonna try it. Like I'm gonna try the Game Pass version. See what I think of the campaign, and then if I end up liking it, I'll just end up paying that 20. And I'll just go for it.
Yeah, it's a no lose situation. If it's a half decent campaign, if you're like, oh yeah, that's quite cool, and I think £20 then would be potentially justifiable. But if it's like, that's quite cool, but the game's £60, and you'd be like, you know.
If it's like £20 and it's around about the same length as a Call of Duty campaign, I'm absolutely fine with that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because Call of Duty campaigns are pretty cliche and generic, anyways. So
yeah, they are. They're Smilegate, so it's Smilegate making it with Remedy as backing as opposed to the other way around. I think we all assumed, and rightfully so, when Remedy was speaking about making Crossfire, that they were the ones that were doing it. Judging by pre-release notes, it's more the other way around. It's Smilegate in partnership with Remedy, so Remedy are helping them to create the game. So I think it's mainly just based on what they're doing and playing and whatever, as opposed to the other way around.
I'm interested to play the multiplayer. Considering I haven't played like Call of Duty or anything in years.
Well, the good news is when we played the multiplayer previously in the beta form, it was more like Counter-Strike, and it was terrible. But they do have a multiplayer game mode which is classed as modern, which is more along the lines of your Call of Duty type of game. So the gunplay and the way it feels, and ADS, aim down sights, and things like that. Because of the previous Crossfire, they didn't have the modern game mode. They just had the CS:GO kind of game where everything is hipfire.
I can't really say I paid much attention to when they had the beta out, so I have no idea what the multiplayer looks like.
I hated it. But again, because it was CS:GO and it was all hipfire, where you don't have any ADS. And in an FPS, like you want to have some kind of ADS.
Yeah, modern FPS games kind of need that. Most people expect that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not really too bothered about Crossfire. I can take it or leave it. It's in Game Pass, so I'm obviously going to take it.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
I'll see how it goes. I'm like in the middle on this game. I don't know whether I'm going to like it or not. So
Yeah.
I'll try it. If I like it, then I'll drop the 20 and get the extra part of the campaign.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Let's get this off. Stop screen for a sec. Yeah, it's for me specifically. I just want to see. I want the game to do all right. I want to see it do decent, but I can't see it happening. I'm glad I didn't have to pay the full whack, 60 quid for it.
Yeah, that's another reason why I think it might not be so good, because it's not been advertised so much.
No.
So I think it could be like a very mediocre shooter.
Yeah. It could be.
I guess I'll find out.
Hopefully it's not.
So only a few more days to wait. So
I know. Thank God. Next up on the news list, we have one that Pat would probably enjoy. He's been a big PUBG fan since it came out. They have been creating a game before for a while that is going to be a bit different, but this is a step up for them. Let's say PUBG was a big success when it first released. It's had its downfalls over the term, but it's also one of the games you can go back to and still get a rush from when you get into the final 10 and you kind of get down to that final area. It's a lot more different. You have to be more tactical. You can't just gun your way to the end, or you can, but you probably end up getting destroyed in the final section. You need to think about what you've got, what you're doing, where you are, where your enemy is at all times. And you can't just rush in, because if you rush in, somebody that's hiding somewhere could kill you. There's a lot of thought goes behind actually playing the game. They are the PUBG creators, Crafton, and obviously it's no longer just called PUBG Company or whatever. It is Crafton now. Are hiring for an unannounced Unreal Engine 5 AAA project. It's very intriguing.
Unreal Engine 5. Interesting.
Yeah. They're pushing the boat out. We know the previous game was literally built on that. What was it called?
Armor? Was it Armor?
No, it was the other one. DayZ.
DayZ, was it?
Yeah. I think it was literally built off the back of DayZ's code.
Oh, that's right. DayZ was sort of built off of Armor, and then I think they built that off of DayZ. Yeah. It was a mod for DayZ, I think.
Aye. And obviously look how far it's come, but
it was very different when it initially came out. No one was in an aeroplane. You didn't drop out of airplanes. Everyone was in a warehouse and they had to run to get their stuff.
Yeah. So I'm intrigued to see what they do with that. I mean, that's not a big topic to speak about, but what would you like to see that particular AAA project be? Obviously, bearing in mind that they're based
hopefully
on
not another Battle Royale.
Survival shooter or survival kind of game. What do you think it's going to be?
I would like to see a post-apocalyptic survival game that isn't another zombie game. So just like maybe, I don't know, say it in a biggish country and have it so you can like make like clans of other groups people and all that, and then maybe go to war. But I don't know. Hopefully, it's not going to be another Battle Royale.
Like mine for things or destroy things and collect parts to build things. Like none of that stuff.
No, that stuff. Oh, just like a basic sort of survival game would be nice. A bit like DayZ, but minus the zombies.
Yes, 100% minus zombies.
Focus on putting more players into that game so it can be a bigger sort of battle when you have to, like, I don't know, if you do go to war with other teams and all that. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't really been into PUBG for quite some time, so I don't know how that game is.
We can only hope that it gets better.
I've not played PUBG in years. It was the
See,
reason why I
jump
got a
into
gaming
it.
PC.
I jump into it from time to time. Sometimes it's like I just jump into with Pat and have some co-op games and things like that, and it's awesome. Other times, eh. I can just take it or leave it. Basically, I want them to do something new and different and push the boat out a bit. But can I see it happening? That's another story.
Yeah, I kind of got tired of that. That's sort of where I got tired of the battle royale genre, and then so many other games have come out since then that have done it better.
Yeah.
And then I went back to Hunt Showdown. Hunt Showdown is my addiction at the moment. When I'm not playing it, I'm thinking about playing it.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Speaking of which, your next topic, and you've done some digging on these. NetherRealm hire for a melee-based combat game. Explain.
Yeah. I'm guessing this could be like maybe like a third-person Mortal Kombat adventure game, Shaolin Monks 2, maybe.
Yeah.
Sequel to that, or maybe even just something completely different. But I expect it to be in the Mortal Kombat genre. We've heard them say that they're not too worried about working on Injustice because they don't know where their relationship lies with Warner Brothers at the moment. And probably by now we would have seen Injustice 3 if they were working on it.
2022 is an absolutely huge year. There we go. Continue.
So yeah, that's what I think. I think it's going to be maybe a Shaolin Monks 2. People have been asking for a sequel to that for a very long time.
You never know with them, or they're doing another Mortal Kombat, or they're doing a game, because they've been hinting to working with Xbox for a while, or NetherRealm doing Killer Instinct 2.
Could be
a melee-based combat game.
I kind of, to me, it kind of sounds
a
like
little
that's
bit more like it's not like a typical 1v1.
Yeah, not like your typical brawler 1v1. It makes me feel like it's going to be
more of like
an
open world Mortal Kombat type thing with loads of like a Sifu.
Yeah, like an action adventure sort of open worldish sort of game.
Like a Dynasty Warriors.
Maybe not to that extent, but I expect it to be like you make your own character in the Mortal Kombat world, and you choose, I don't know, inevitably choose which side you want to fight for, whether it be the heroes or the villains.
Yeah,
maybe something like that. That'd be cool.
I'm intrigued by it. Melee-based combat game. I mean, to be fair, NetherRealm are really good at what they do, so they'll have the combat down. It just depends on what world they're creating here. Whether or not it's maybe more of an open Dynasty Warriors-esque type of Mortal Kombat where you go against hordes of enemies and things like that.
Could be. Maybe it's not even a Mortal Kombat game at all. Maybe they're trying something new.
You never know. It's definitely interesting. I'd like to see
I don't see it being in Injustice 2. Injustice 3, I mean. I think they've moved past that now because they're not sure what their relationship is going to be like with Warner Brothers in the near future.
Stuff Sean's never played any Battle Royale game. You're not weird, but it's definitely uncommon. Feel free to jump on one with us and see if you like any of them, but they're not straightforward. And it's like each of them have steep learning curves. Like you will get annihilated the first several times you play, and eventually you'll start getting a kill or two.
I'd say the best one for you to try would be Apex Legends, because you've been playing Halo recently, and
you'd be good on Apex.
Be the one you can ease into the most.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Apex is the easiest of the lot of them to get used to. Yes, you have special powers for certain people, but you don't have to use them. You can if If you want,
It's cool though, and it makes the battle royale genre different. That's what I liked about Apex. Although I haven't played it in quite some time, I keep meaning to try and get back into it, but just so many other games. So many other games.
Oh yeah, there is so many others. Like I say, I've been just addicted to Pokemon recently, and I know Sean, the sheriff of the Gamers Watch crew's been exactly the same. He's just been non-stop Pokemon. So much so that his next episode's thumbnail is all of the cast as Pokemon. So...
I saw that earlier. It was hilarious.
Oh God. I like how Paul Tiado is the trainer, and he's got Sean and Duncan as the two starter Pokemon.
It's funny.
Never mind. That's funny. Next topic. These are nice little ones, but next topic, and you'll be able to enlighten me because obviously you told me about this. But Resident Evil 4. Explain.
As we all know that the Resident Evil 4 remake's been mentioned many times in the past, and Capcom did state that was the one they were doing next. Oh, that was like after Resident Evil 3 remake. And the creator of Resident Evil 4 hopes that the rumored remake improves upon his story. So I expect that to happen. They improve the Resident Evil 3 story and the Resident Evil 2 story prior. So I can see them improving upon that story.
We can hope.
But I expect it at this point. Resident Evil 4 will be next, and then they'll remake the next one after that, and so on.
Yeah.
Until the point where they remake the first one again, and then it goes in that cycle.
See, I still think as much as Resi Village was good, it didn't I personally think the likes of Silent Hill and Resident Evil need to get back to what made them great in the first place. And I don't mean making it a zombie game. I mean specifically making it an actual horror. Because none of these games had, there was only one section of Resi 7 that had any kind of freakiness about it, and that was the friggin' giant baby.
Yep, it was the best Silent Hill game I ever played.
But that's what we need to do. We need to get back to horror, and we've got awesome guest Miles from Windows Central on this week, and we will be talking more about horror in video games and kind of going in depth into some of that stuff. But the one thing that's stopped me from playing the Resident Evil so much these days is because they've lost the horror in the games.
I know, right? And their excuse for the Resident Evil Village not being so scary was
because people said it was too scary.
Because people said that Resident Evil 7 was too scary. No, take that as a good thing. We want more of that.
Yeah.
That one part alone in Resident Evil Village was the most tense moment of my life. And every time I play it, I've completed that game 5 or 6 times. Every time I get to that I never that tense feeling never shakes. It's always there.
The previous game every time. The previous game, Jesus wept. You don't want to play it. You know what I mean? You're like, oh god.
I hate that moment, but it's so tense. I love that feeling of the adrenaline rush it gives you.
But that's what they need to get back to, though. And that I really miss the Silent Hills and the Condemneds because they had a freaky thing about it. Like Silent Hill had this town's normal-ish by day, and then at the nighttime, when it goes off and you hear the siren,
sirens.
The whole world turns upside down.
As soon as you hear those sirens, you know shit's about to go down.
Yeah. And I still love. Do you remember the adaptation into film of Silent Hill?
Yeah, the first one was brilliant. I loved the first one. Second one, not so much. That one can get in the bin.
Yeah, but the first one was tremendous.
It was.
That was a
really
perfect
good
adaptation of it. But they need to get back to that. These horror games need to get back to being horror games. Condemned was tremendous. Yeah. Fear was brilliant.
I mean, Hideo Kojima proved that horror games can be really scary and really good with his PT Silent Hills demo.
Yeah.
And then we saw Capcom go and take that and make something similar themselves. And that Resident Evil 7 was quite scary.
Yeah.
But they just need to push more horror in the Resident Evil games because people want it. I hope the Resident Evil 9 doesn't slack in the horror department. It needs to go full survival horror where you're on edge for most of the time. Because like the first part of the game, it's like heading through those woods where you can hear like all the werewolves in the background shifting around, making noises. That part, I was terrified, but that's it. That part, once you've done that, it's it. You know, you ain't getting attacked in that part. You can push through it easily. And then that fear of that part goes away. But that one part in that mansion with the big horrifying like fetus thing will always put me on edge because it's absolutely terrifying, that bit. They need to push more of that in the Resident Evil games.
Oh, completely agree. They need to get back to it. Full stop. They need to get more horror in the horror games. Like, you go back and play Resident Evil 1 and 2 now, there's no freakiness about it because obviously we've played them for years on end and it's kind of got back to it. But if you look back on the previous ones, like when you actually first played them, like Resident Evil 1 and 2 were really freaky.
Yeah, 1 and 2 are great.
Really freaky games.
And then like the remake on GameCube, that's when they added the fast-moving zombies. That was terrifying. You'd near shit yourself every time one of those things flew off the ground and started chasing you.
Oh, 100%.
That changed the game for the Resident Evil genre, those fast zombies.
It did. They need to, but again, obviously now it's not scary, but back then it was. It was freaky, scary, jumping out, trying to dodge Nemesis and all that stuff in the lickers when you first come across them. But now, of course, we've got used to that, but it needs to maintain the same kind of horror that you used to have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think 6 was great, but 7 lost that. Like, it was more just like a murder mystery. And then your arm could grow back or you'd lose something and like you just stitch it back on again. And yeah.
I've always said like the Resident Evil co-op games was where it started to sort of go downhill. But they could do co-op good in Resident Evil if they did it in a way where you're playing and your mate's behind you, and then something happens that forces you to be separated for X amount of time. It could be hours later you see your teammate again in co-op.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to figure out how to get back to your teammate, but you're being blocked from all different angles by zombies or whatever that's in your path.
Yeah. I agree there. I agree. They just need to get back to it, and it needs to. I mean, it could be so much better than it was.
I'd like Alone in the Dark to come back. That horror franchise. You remember that?
That was also very good.
That needs to come back.
Like my favorite that I want to come back is Condemned.
Condemned 1 and 2 are really good. I love the fucking multiplayer in Condemned 2. The Condemned 2 multiplayer was so interesting. You used to be able to hide in the buildings if you were one of the bad guys and the cops would come in and you'd be in like a dark room and you come out and attack them and you can steal their guns and use them against them. How good was that? That was so fun and unique, and it died because it didn't have the following. Such an underrated multiplayer.
But even then, the single player in the first one was so underrated. You were like this. You were in like an investigative cop, and you had to go through like these abandoned buildings, and like, it was just loads of raggy people just hiding in the background, and you couldn't see them. You just see one of them run, and you'd be like, "What the?"
And you knew full well that you had 7 bullets in your gun, and that was it. Yeah. You had to pull a pipe off the wall to kill this person that's
just pull off just anything to defend
stalking you. Yeah, they need to bring that back.
But even I remember
who owns that franchise? Is it
the bit that stuck with me on that game was when you were going through the shopping mall and the mannequins. Remember the mannequins that were just standing there doing nothing, but then there was people that were dressed as mannequins. And then like when you turned around, like they would move. But then there would be statues when you looked at them, and they'd just not do anything. And then you like walk on a little bit more, and then
I kind of
turn around again, and the mannequins have got closer, but there's still statues behind you. You're like, "Fuck this!"
Are they back, Compat?
I don't know. I hope so.
I hope so. I'm gonna have to like have a look. I need to play them again.
And then you'd like you just near the end of that section, you'd jump down the hole, and as you look up, all of the mannequins are surrounding the hole at the top there, and they've like followed you through. Or occasionally, like you'd be looking at the mannequins, and you'd think they're all mannequins, and then you just go to walk past them, and then one of them would stand off and then come chasing after you. You'd be like, "Holy shit!"
Fuck that! I remember playing that. I was in like my teens, I wouldn't get past the first bit. I was like, nope, never going past that bit. And eventually, like, I grew up and actually played it properly. Oh,
it was just so good.
great
Like, you
game.
see the combat where you could just literally just like, right, I need a weapon, and then they would say a pipe on the wall, so you'd rip the pipe off the wall. And you're like, right,
2x4.
okay. Yeah, a bit of 2x4 with a
And the
nail on the floor.
I can't get over the multiplayer. Like, you've got me thinking about the multiplayer now. I know the servers are probably long and dead, but if they could just bring that game servers back for one day. Such an interesting take. Like, cops versus crooks, but all the crooks have got melee weapons and they're just hiding in the house. There's so many different maps as well. And I played that multiplayer with my dad, and we both really enjoyed the multiplayer for that game.
It was just such a good game. Like, oh,
They need to bring that back. I don't know who owns it. I can't remember who it is that owns it, but they need to bring it back.
that's nearly a decade old, you know. In fact, it is. It's 9 years old. Condemned.
Condemned Criminal Origins.
Yep. Such
Publishers
an underrated game. Like,
Sega,
graphically
Warner
now,
Brothers
it looks
Interactive
terrible, but
Entertainment. So Warner Brothers own it.
yeah.
What are they doing? They could have turned that into a movie franchise. They could have turned that into a TV
It could
show.
easily be in a movie franchise. You just need one really good actor as the cop,
Uh-huh.
and then just loads of people that are just these drug addict fiends that are running around and being creepy as hell.
You got me thinking about Condemned now. I can't stop thinking about it.
Oh, such a good game. Such a good game.
I'm sure we'll bring that up again on Wednesday.
Please bring it back, is all I'm asking. It's not so much to ask for, is it?
The first one was amazing. I don't know what it was about the second one, but I don't think it did as well.
The second one's campaign wasn't as good, but the first one was. The first one's campaign was memorable. Like, you could just remember everything about it.
Even if someone did like a spiritual successor to that, I'd be happy with that.
100%. Obviously, in Joshua in the chat there as well, Alien Isolation is one of his favorite horror games. I think Alien Isolation did a very good job of making you feel like you were powerless against the alien, and more like the film as opposed to this like Marine who's got like super weapons and things all the time. Like, you only get the flamethrower like pretty much the tail end of the game, and even then, it's not to kill the alien. It's more to just deter it and get it to piss off.
If Xbox sat down and thought about it, they could make a great Halo-themed flood game like Alien Isolation. Where like you're being...
The problem is a lot of companies don't want to make horror games.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. Because if someone really put their mind to it and they got someone like even Guillermo del Toro to make a horror game, it would be phenomenal.
And Kojima.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if Xbox made a deal and they made some sort of like Halo horror game where you play as a Marine and it's like set in space on a huge ship like the UNSC Infinity, and you're being like relentlessly chased by a Spartan that's been turned into a flood.
But even then, if you're thinking at the Dead Space, like Dead Space is the first one, freaky as shit. And they could even turn that even into a much more of a horror game going forward.
Yeah, that game was so horrifying.
Dead Space Downfall, the anime version of the game, which was the build up to I've forgotten the name of the ship now.
What was the name of the USG Ishimura.
Ishimura, yeah. This was before it was when they originally brought the plague onto the Ishimura. If you did kind of that type of thing, or even made, like you say, we're all getting the Dead Space remake, and I can't wait to see that. But a more horror version of Dead Space, like where it's not just so focused on just loads of enemies popping up out of nowhere, but more the horror aspect of it, of thinking you've seen something, but you haven't seen something, or something just disappearing.
Psychological horror.
Psychological horrors.
Yeah. Something that gets in your head and makes you think, oh shit, what was that noise behind me? Fuck. Yeah. I don't want to look around.
It's the purpose of horror games, I feel, is more feeling on edge.
Yeah.
Like all of the time, just feeling like something's gonna happen.
That's kind of what I loved about Fear.
Stalking you.
I love that moment in Fear as a moment where you go to climb down the ladder and the girl's in your face. And I paused it there and I never played it again when I was younger. It's like, nope, nope, not for me.
Nope, not doing this.
But I'd happily play it now.
Another franchise though, where the first game was really good and then it got worse. Like the first VR was tremendous because it's like you're this like these essentially these elite soldiers. This elite task force that's going in to figure out what's going wrong, and to everyone's being wiped out left, right, and center by this poltergeist that you just can't do anything about.
I think horror is one of the hardest genres to make as a game, though, and get right.
Like even the first time, like in Metal Gear, the first Metal Gear, where you come across Ninja, and he's like, you go upstairs and like it's got that ominous music, and everyone's been massacred in the hallway, and there's just blood everywhere, and you're like, what the fuck? You're like, nope, I don't want to go any further here. Like, what is going on?
I used to play Oblivion, Bethesda's Oblivion when I was a kid, and I was terrified at that because I was like, shit, it's getting dark. I got to go find somewhere where I can rest.
Yeah.
I'd never play that game at night. Not personally played them myself, but seen my dad play the first one.
Yeah.
I do want to play them because if I do a third one, I want to get through the first and second one so I can prepare for it.
Definitely. Next topic. Nice easy topic here. Satya Nadella's not concerned about the FTC. Jen, do you want to speak up on that one?
Yeah, and I'm not surprised about that, really, to be honest. They're not going to look at little old Microsoft and go, oh, you're getting too big for your boats, because they're going to be third still. Nothing's going to change. That spot's not going to change just because of this deal. They'd have to buy a lot more companies.
And naturally, as well, what you think of is obviously this is the counter argument. Of course, Satya Nadella is going to come out and say, "Oh, it's going to be fine. Of course, it's going to be fine. Why wouldn't it be?"
They're not stupid. They sat down. They thought long and hard about this deal. They even said it. They went all the way through like December time to crack out this deal properly. And
yeah,
if you think they're going to compromise themselves in any way, shape, or form, people have got to be silly to think that, because it's Microsoft. They got lawyers. Their lawyers have lawyers.
Yeah,
to work on their deals, so they know what they're doing. The law firm that they've got are going to know
exactly what they're doing. And Joshua, again, back on the previous topic, they feel like VR should explore horror a lot more. I agree, 100%. The problem is people are going to play them games. You're going to have the least retention on them games ever. They're going to be like, yes, I want to play a horror game. Then people are going to get in the game and they're going to be like, oh, fuck this. Turn it off. Nope, definitely not. Imagine playing Dead Space VR.
As much as I like the idea of horror in VR, I don't think I could myself.
I wouldn't be able to hack it. I'd be taking that off almost instantly. Like
every 5 minutes, I'll be taking it off and going,
yeah. A minor heart
attack.
I want to see Asa doing that though. Asa, when you watch the rest of this back at some point, mate, I want to see you on your 360 treadmill with your VR headset on in a horror game. Like just see him like run back and fall over and things.
If they did Resident Evil Village in VR, I wouldn't be able to get past that horror part. I'd put the headset down. I'd be like, "No, I'm good. I'm done here."
Doesn't matter.
I'll do this bit outside of VR and come back afterwards.
Condemned in VR. Oh, Jesus.
VR is perfect for horror, but I don't think many people would get through the game.
No, there's not many people that would get through it. That is torture. That is specifically putting yourself through torture.
What I played in Resident Evil 7 in VR was terrifying.
To be fair, I think the creepiness of Scorn, you've got a good point. The creepiness of Scorn in VR would be horrifying. That is such a creepy looking game.
I can't wait to play that. That game looks really weird.
Yeah. That's the best way to describe it. That game just looks weird. And I want it.
That's why I want to play it, because it looks fucking absolutely out there. You don't see anything like that often.
No, it's just completely bonkers. You're just like, it's got some kind of weird organic gun. It's not even a gun. It's like a bit of arm or something.
I just can't put my head around what what it's supposed to be. It's just the strangest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Everything looks gooey and mushy, and it's so weird.
Okay, yeah, I can't wait to try it. It's definitely different, and that's the best thing about it. Is it is so different. Oh God, hey. Yeah, the squelching sounds. Yeah. But yeah, Satya Nadella on the FTC, specifically for him, he's not concerned because they've looked at the avenues that they're going into and the markets that they're going into, and specifically the largest part of this deal wasn't anything to do with Call of Duty. And again, people need to remember that. Like the FTC is not going to block for Call of Duty. It's not going to happen.
They're looking
They're
at
going to look at
staff
all
more than
aspects of
anything.
this. And specifically the one area that they're going to look at is the mobile segment, which they've really acquired, which is King, which is one of the largest mobile developers in the world. And then they're going to look at the competing market for mobile
Exactly.
and see that the vast majority is China and the US and China. If you think there isn't political agreements within some of these acceptances, then you are wrong. The FTC will look at this, say, right, okay, we need some competition. Like a big Western company now owns one of the largest mobile developers in the world to combat against one of the largest Chinese mobile development segments in the world. Yeah,
and then wouldn't only be looking at that; they'd be looking at what every other company's doing as well and buying up. And no, I don't see it being an issue.
Nah, it's not.
Especially with Sony buying up companies like Bungie for 3-point-something billion, and they're supposed to have like 10 billion left out there to purchase some other stuff.
Yeah, and you can guarantee the DOJ or the FTC's looked at that purchase as well.
Oh yeah, they will. I think it's anything over 100 million they look at.
Yeah. But you don't see the articles about that, even though that is going to be happening. Like that won't even though there's a 3.6 million agreement in place, you can guarantee that agreement isn't finalized yet. Like they don't mention that. Sony haven't mentioned that themselves. Oh yeah, this is done, so dotted line. Of course it isn't.
It's funny how
everyone's
fine with Sony buying stuff, Tencent buying stuff, and the Embracer Group buying stuff. But as soon as Microsoft does it, that's bad.
Yeah,
you're not allowed to do that, Mr. Microsoft.
Yeah,
because that's not allowed. It's not our favorite plastic box. We don't like that, Mr. Sony, Mr. Microsoft.
Yeah, exactly. Microsoft will just say cough cough Tencent.
Yeah, you've seen that graph going around. It's like a pie chart sort of thing.
Yeah.
It shows the Embracer Group, Tencent. I think someone put the updated version out yesterday, which included Tencent and EA. But that alone just shows you that Microsoft are nowhere near being a monopoly in this industry.
No. And they did, to be fair, in that updated Tencent segment, that's not all of Tencent's segment studios.
Tencent
that's the one that
they're
the studios they directly own, not the ones that they have half shares in, like they own half of the company.
40% deals and stuff like that.
Yep. In which they have 900 companies. Yep. So
this deal's going to go through with flying colours.
It's not going to have an issue. Of course, they're going to scrutinise it. Of course, they are. But at the end of the day, if you think politics isn't going to play a role in getting this approved, then 100% it is. 100%. They'll look at the the Chinese. They'll look at the size of the Chinese mobile development segment. They'll look at the fact that they've just purchased King, which is a massive mobile segment, and say, "Yep, there we go." There's the US way into worldwide domination, which is exactly how they'll look at it. But anyway, next. Interesting one that you've come across there, and that was around Phil Spencer having to convince the board about Game Pass. So what was said there?
The title of this article from IGN says, Phil Spencer pushed hard for Xbox Game Pass despite internal doubts. He wouldn't take no for an answer. And that's a good thing. Look at how great Game Pass is doing at the moment.
Yeah.
Those internal doubters probably looking at Phil Spencer now saying, good job.
But at the same time, you have to look at the history of Xbox and where it came from. And the initial internal doubts stemmed from Xbox in the first place. Like, we doubt this Xbox is going to be good. We doubt it's going to do well. We doubt it's going to be successful. Here we are 20 years later. There's always going to be doubts from the board and obviously Phil going into it in the first place and announcing something like Game Pass. And when he was still kind of just getting in charge of Xbox, specifically in its infancy. There's no wonder they were like, we don't know if that's a good game plan for it to go down because that requires a lot of investment. And obviously, looking at it now,
paid off, and it will continue to pay off and only get
several
bigger.
promotions lately. Game Pass is doing extremely well. There's a lot of benefits to it.
CEO of Microsoft Gaming.
Yep. And now, of course, it's the best part of 25+ million people per month at an average cost of about $10, let's say. If you average out the people that are trialing it or people that are paying full price for Ultimate and people that have just got PC or just got console, if you just average out at $10, you're looking at the best part of £250 million a month in revenue.
And it's not even the start. Like when the TV apps come out and the little stick comes out, Game Pass is just going to skyrocket because it's going to be so easy for people to pick up and play.
Yeah. So in like the best part of a quarter, they've made $1 billion back from Game Pass. You're telling me that's not going to be paying for the games that are going in there?
Exactly.
I'm sure as hell that covers the bills.
It's constant revenue, especially like that's 25 people recurring.
Yeah.
That subbed constantly every month.
And it's only increasing.
Yeah. That's constant revenue, not our games come out and gone. People are going to stick with it because of that.
And that's not including
more revenue.
That's not including game sales. That's not including microtransactions. It's not including expansion passes. Like all that stuff's on top of this 250 million. So you're talking probably the best part of maybe 350 million to 400 million a month.
I mean, we've already seen Sarah Bond say that people are 20% more people buy more games thanks to Game Pass. So
yep, than ever has. It's been a tremendous thing, and this is why we were also saying Sony look to copy that in a form because we don't know what it looks like yet.
This is why game demo discs were so great back in the day because you pick up a game demo disc, you try it out, and you go, "I've got to get that game."
Yep. Yeah, PlayStation did it right the first time when the demo discs came out. I remember playing the demo discs over and over again.
Oh yeah,
until I could afford the game.
Like with, I think it was the first Metal Gear Solid game. It came with a Silent Hill demo.
Yeah,
and then they had magazines that had demos on it as well. And I remember buying.
That's what I did. I just used to get all the magazines. Like every month, I'd get that. I was like, "What demos am I getting this month?"
I remember getting a magazine as a kid, and it came with a demo, and on that demo disc was one of the Spider-Man PS1 games, and I bloody adored that game.
I remember it. I remember playing Medieval for the first time on demo disc.
Yep, on the demo disc. Crash Bandicoot on a demo disc.
Yeah.
If
only they could bring them back again, but now it's all digital demos, and no one's inclined to download digital demos these days. Like even I don't.
Yeah,
because
even some companies don't even bother to make demos anymore.
No,
you get very few demos on the Xbox marketplace.
Vast majority don't bother. Yeah, the vast majority don't bother. So it's like a dead medium now, which is unfortunate because it was a really good thing. Good thing.
We've seen people do that though. People try a game in Game Pass, and then if it leaves Game Pass shortly after, they'll buy it. They also get a discount.
Yeah, or you get the notification that it's leaving Game Pass, and people buy it because obviously it's 20% off whilst it's in Game Pass.
That's the beauties of Game Pass. You get to sample a load of different games. Yeah, you might complete that game, but when that game leaves Game Pass, you might go, well, it's leaving Game Pass. I really enjoyed it, so I'm going to buy it so I can play again. But
also, for me as well, specifically Game Passes. I mean, everyone looks at Game Pass for the AAAs, but the likes of Halo, the likes of Forza Horizon, Gears, all the big ones that Xbox have released, I own, and I do anyway, because the likes of Forza Horizon, I'll always get the Ultimate Edition because I want it.
Yeah. Like Halo, I own that.
Yeah.
I bought that.
Same. I've got Halo, got Forza Horizon, I've got the Gears, I always buy them. I've got pretty much everything that's released by Xbox I pretty much get. I even Sea of Thieves I own as its initial version, because obviously you don't need to own everything going forward for that. There is no expansion pass. But I've got the initial version. But for me, Game Pass is always just the indies, the new little games that would be on the fence about, because I'm like,
and the third
well, yeah, it's
parties.
an indie game, but it's also like 15, 20 quid, and for an indie that's got no reputation behind it, a lot of people are going to be on the fence about paying money for something that they don't know.
When MLB The Show came out, a third party game, I never would have played that. Ever would have touched that. Never played it, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't play it a whole lot, but what I did play of it, I really enjoyed it. I'm terrible at it too. That's another reason why I don't play it.
Another thing, the only thing that put me off MLB, and this is because obviously I don't know baseball, I don't know the rules.
Yeah,
I don't know how to play the game, but also just how long each match was.
Oh yeah, it takes a while.
Like
I played a multiplayer game.
I would be like, I was literally about an hour and a half, and I was like, what how long is this fucking game?
I played a game with one of my American friends, and game lasted forever, and he wiped the floor with me because I just didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah. That's one thing that put me off MLB. I was like, nah, this is too long. Like these it's a good game. Don't get us wrong, and baseball players will love it, and I can see why. But for me, Jesus, wept. I wish it was just rounders. God, it'd be over in seconds if it was just rounders. It's more like an American cricket. To be honest, it goes on forever and ever and ever.
It's got like I don't know how many innings or whatever they call it.
Good evening, Paul, over on our Twitch.
Hello.
So yeah, it's personally Game Pass for me. The benefit to me is on the indie side as opposed to the AAAs. Now the benefits of some of the AAAs is more the third parties. Like I'm glad I didn't buy the Left 4 Dead. What's it called? Back 4 Blood. I'm glad I didn't buy that in the end. I had it on pre-order, and then it went into Game Pass, and I was like, "Good, I'm glad."
Same with me for Outriders. I played. Must have been like 8 hours of that game, and I was like, "I'm bored of this. This isn't really for me."
Yeah, see, I played and completed Outriders, but then that was it. I didn't want to do the post game. I didn't want to do the There's expansions and things now.
Yeah,
but I didn't want to do it. So it's another game I'm glad I didn't spend my money on, but I know for a fact paying for Game Pass would have given them money anyway. They've had the upfront, so they're not concerned.
That would have been a big deal for that game.
Yeah. But same for Back 4 Blood. Like, it was all right. I'll probably jump on it every now and again from time to time, but it's not something I'm glad I didn't pay money for.
I think what it was about Back 4 Blood for me is because I'm just so tired of the zombie genre. It's one of the reasons why I haven't bothered to buy Dying Light 2 just yet, because I'm fine with waiting.
Yeah, exactly. Good evening, Stu. Yeah, and one of the ones that ended up making me get the game was Psychonauts 2. So I'd never played the first one. The reason I didn't play the first one was obviously it was ages before I'd really kind of knew what that was. So, but I heard of it. I'd seen things on it. It was definitely different. I wanted to play the second one. Didn't play the first one because even on back compat because it doesn't have achievements. And again, for games like that, you kind of want to do some of the achievements and get kind of points and things for it and progress with it. And you didn't get any of that, so I was like, nah, I'm not wasting my time on that. Like, as much as it's probably a great game, but then I also found out that they were really good story catch up on the second one. So I played through the second one, absolutely loved it. Even though I probably won't replay it again anytime soon because of it is big. It's still a 25+ hour game.
That's one game I need to go back and complete. I keep meaning to do it.
I still purchased it because I love it. I loved the game, so I purchased it just to say, yeah, thanks. Yeah, absolutely.
What I played, I absolutely enjoyed the game.
Yeah. The final boss is a pain in the arse, by the way. Just a heads up.
I look forward to that then.
Yeah, it's like a multi-stage final boss, which it goes in different like forms and things.
I look forward to that then. Look forward to rage quitting multiple times.
Yeah. It took me a few goes to get through that, but it was good. It was good fun. It's more about kind of using all your powers in that one, like certain powers at certain times and getting through it to then realize. And then the final section, you get like made into a giant version of yourself that you have to fight against her, Maligula. You have to fight against her and like whilst you're a giant and she's the giant, and then you kind of have to force her off a cliff and things. It's such a good little final segment. But the build up to that little final section where you're both giants is like a multi-stage thing where you have to use all your powers in different stages to be able to try and take a health down.
I'm going to get back to that soon.
Yeah,
I'm playing so many different games at the moment.
I know.
I did really enjoy it. I gave it a must play in my Pass or Play episode.
Yeah. And another one I want to get back and play through again, and I've done it every time. But our playthrough of It Takes Two, I've watched that as well when we watch back on it, and it's just it just makes us smile. That game just makes me smile.
Such a good game, so well put together.
It's very rare that a game
levels is amazing.
Yeah, it's very rare that you can play a game and the game just makes you smile, and like you just feel happy playing it. And you're just like, "This is such a good game. I'm having such a great time here."
Definitely a feel good game.
Yeah,
with great story as well. Like a story that can emotionally hit you. It was well written, well crafted.
Also funny. It's also like some of the stuff you do in the game is hilarious. Like it's just such a well crafted game from start to finish. Like
I really can't wait to see what he's working on.
Oh God, I know. It takes a lot to have a game that sticks with you. And I mean like permanently sticks with you, but It Takes Two will permanently stick with me. Like for what that achieved. Such a phenomenal game. And anybody who hasn't played it, it is in Game Pass. Obviously, thanks to EA. And obviously their segments. If you haven't played It Takes Two, if your family members are a bit more hit or miss on whether or not to play games and things with you, or you're struggling to get through it because of that, find someone online to play with, a friend online, and play through that game. It is worth it, every second of it.
Yeah, we definitely need to play that A Way Out.
Yes, we do. That's going to be a different type of game entirely, but I'm definitely going to play it 100%. We need to get back on Twitch and play that game. 100%. Last topic for today before we wrap up. We've all seen that post. We'll not give him too much airtime. I'm not even going to mention his name, but the self-confessed comedian that tried to act all smart with these little TikTok-y kind of post about the Xbox Activision acquisition, being a fearmonger, and no providing no facts. He also put down every other competing company at the same time in that video, saying that Sony don't do anything other than make games and make headphones, which is just an absolute lie. It's not to say that they're not like one of the biggest movie producer in the world.
They just made Spider-Man one of the biggest movies ever to earn
$4 billion
during a pandemic as well.
Yeah, it's like $2 billion turnover or something for Spider-Man, something ridiculous. But yeah, then he also, like I say, he only said they only make X and this, and Nintendo don't do anything other than the console. And granted, Nintendo don't do anything other than the console and the games, but they are the biggest company in the console market. Yeah, they are unmatched. In almost half the time, they've destroyed PlayStation. 105 million consoles sold. Like 40 million, years, anywhere between 20 and 40 million copies of their games sold every time they release, without shadow of a doubt. Like I would dread to see the numbers Pokemon did, because that's going to be well into the 15, 20 millions within the next couple of months at least.
And just wait for the next Zelda, Breath of the Wild 2, whatever it's called. That's going to sell like hotcakes.
100%. 100%. To be fair, I haven't seen anyone play Pokemon as much as people have been playing this recent Pokemon. Like, not normally people don't come out and say I've been playing Pokemon or this is what I'm playing at the moment. But right now, like, there's a lot of people on my timeline. I'm playing Pokemon. That's unheard of, but that's because it was the type of Pokemon people were wanting. So it's got more of the other outside casuals and more of the hardcore players into it, because there's more to it than previous ones. But Nintendo are just in a league of their own, man. Above, like anywhere between.
No one needs to worry about Nintendo. They're doing just fine.
Their attach rate is like between 4-1 to 2-1. So if they release a game, at least 1 in 4 people that owns a console buys the game. Which is
I mean, just insane. Like look at their third party as it is. Like big Call of Duty game goes on their console, and they're doing just absolutely fine.
Yeah, no Activision game goes on there. The only games that they've had from Activision that's went on there has been the Crash trilogy, the Spyro trilogy, and Crash Team Racing. They're the only games that have ever been on that console from Activision, and they were reboots from really old games. And that's it.
Yeah.
And then
no one
you
needs
look
to worry
at
about Nintendo. They're absolutely fine.
you look at
Sony are
the
fine
opposite. Yeah, then you look at the opposite side, like the ZeniMax and things. Nothing went on the console anyway. Like Doom did eventually. Wolfenstein did eventually, but in general, did they release on there? No. How good do third
Doom was
parties
like
do on the
really
platform?
downscaled on Switch as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So,
But even then, like the third party games on Switch don't do well. They never have. They've never been sellers on Switch. It's the first party, and they destroy the first
Nintendo's
party scene.
always done well because it's Nintendo, and their games
Yep.
just do amazing. Personally, not for me, but I get it. I get why their games do well. Nintendo don't got to worry about themselves. They're doing absolutely fine.
Oh, 100%. 100%. But yeah, essentially it was just a segment filled with someone who didn't know what they were talking about. Rabbiting on about how bad it is for the industry, etc. And they could literally buy out loads of people and then up the prices and things like that. And if he knows the game plan of any of these companies, which he doesn't, then he would know that that isn't the concept. Like the reason Microsoft is purchasing anyone in the first place isn't just to grow themselves, but to protect the big three from outside
funny as
influence.
well is he complains about Game Pass and gaming services, but he's got a show on Netflix.
Yeah.
He's in a subscription service.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, what a tool. What a tool.
Yeah, it's just pandering for attention. That's all.
But that's either way. We've seen a lot of people. A lot of people that don't know gaming and don't know the business side of things think like they were knowing what was going on, or do know what's going on, or what big multi-billion trillion-dollar companies do with their finances and seem to know better. It baffles me. Like, why they think like they don't know half this stuff, and like they're already looking at it and going, "Yeah, whatever."
I don't know. I don't get it.
I even seen a couple of people from like that work for Microsoft and Xbox share that post and just put like the face palm emoji.
That's the same type of person that doesn't bring up what other companies like Tencent or the Embracer Group are doing either.
You know why he hated it so much? Hates consolidation so much is because the company he was working for when he made his show got purchased, and one of the first things they did was shit can his show. Shows how much they thought about that. They would think that's not profitable. No one watches it. Turn it off.
That's just what happens. That happens on a daily basis, even with companies that are not selling themselves off.
You streamline. You look at the areas of the business that are profitable and non-profitable, and you reorganize.
That's ratings for you. If your ratings drop and go below a certain level, you're gone. That's just how it works in the TV industry.
Yeah. But even in general in business, like Microsoft aren't in the premise of getting rid of people. Like all they'll do is just reposition them. Right, okay. So we're not going to be doing this anymore, but we're not going to see out of a job. Like we've got so many positions that need filling and so many projects that we've got ongoing that we can just do whatever we want to do and make sure people are staying in a job. Like they've got no shortage of work to do now at Xbox Game Studios. They've got countless projects in the works. They've got unbelievable amount of staff that can be positioned. If they need staff to go and help other teams, they can do that now because they've got them.
Yep.
Like no one's going to get out of a job. No one's going to be no issues there.
And the best thing is, a lot of these people within Microsoft are now able to work on whatever they want to work on because they haven't got to be forced to work on something they don't want to work on, like Call of Duty.
And their internal, the thing is working for a big company like Microsoft now as well, as the internal growth for them is phenomenal. Like a company like that, there's always new positions, always new things going on, job opportunities, and they strive on innovation internally. Like you've seen the likes of like when they got Obsidian, and one of the first things that some of the Obsidian devs was we were making this grounded game, like, and Microsoft were like, well, yeah, keep doing it then. We have fun. make Grounded. Like it's only 12 years. Like go for it. We'll support it.
They get to do what they want.
Look how big Grounded is now.
Yep.
And that was just allowing devs to do what they wanted to do. That's only a team of 12. You can see more and more of these people in these different studios going, "Oh, can I make a game?"
I mean, we've heard Todd Howard say it as well. Like, Game Pass is a good thing for testing games as well. Testing, like, like new ideas and stuff like that, which is amazing. They can release something small as a test and go, well, here's something we've worked on. How do you like it? And people go, oh, more of that, please. Or no, we don't like that. Don't make that anymore.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. Game Pass is a very experimental service as well for different types of games that may have otherwise never got a chance to even exist.
Yeah. And that's the one thing I love about it. I love about Game Pass in general is it just gives more people an opportunity to get their games out there. Apparently, the Encyclopedia of Gaming. I like to do my research. The all-knower. But no, it's people like this don't really know enough as they should be before they start talking about something. Specifically in gaming, when it comes around big topics like acquisitions and things like that, you need to understand what you're talking about before you start talking. And there's thankfully, I know a lot of podcasts where it has open dialogue, and a lot of people that I speak to in the podcasts that I've joined, etc. They all do their actual research. Now you see some of the other podcasting areas that they like to call what do you call them over in America? It's like the fucking tail. It's a rubbish end of it of podcasting where they essentially don't care about the facts and things. It's more just based on opinion, not based on any form of evidence that's come before it, or factual truth or technical knowledge. It's just, this is what I think, and I believe that to be true.
If I don't know something, I'll come out and I'll say I don't know. I don't talk about things I don't know about because it's just waffling into the ether. What's the point?
I know. Well, Paul, I have to say, and you bring that up now. How do I find the time to know about this stuff? Like a lot of people who like to read books and things like that is in their spare time as one of their pastimes. Like I like reading up on a lot of the, instead of reading up in books, because like books bore me to tears. Like I hate reading for any lengthy point of time because it just bores us. But when I'm reading kind of small articles or segments or anything like that, like if I'm learning something and something then is going potentially practice in a becoming an actuality. So if someone's teaching us something, then I'll pick it up like immediately. If I'm reading something that's knowledgeable or technical, then I'll be like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Or if some like explaining the details behind a certain engine or something like that, then I'll download the engine in a format and have a play around with it and get some knowledge behind it. It's just about picking things up. Well, some people read books. I like reading more of these technical articles and the finding out the inner workings of things to kind of get a greater understanding of what's going through their minds when they're making these decisions. It broadens your view on gaming in general.
And YouTube is a perfect thing for it as well because you can find educational stuff on YouTube.
Yeah. 100%. If you want to know more of the legality section of things, of course, then you've got the awesome Hogue Law, who goes into the legalities of everything, and does it from a non-biased point of view. Like, he'll cover everything. Like the Activision Bethesda thing, he's covered many times. Sorry, Activision Blizzard. Sorry, he's covered several times now, and kind of goes into the good and the bad of the FTC getting involved, or being involved, and how it's normal. He's also done the Sony Bungie thing, and from a financial aspect, didn't make sense in terms of its viewpoints, but he goes in depth with it to talk about it. And, it's very interesting. It's just finding the right voices or the right people that knows the research. And again, Paul, though, if you watch a lot of the streams and podcasts, as long as you get people that have done their research and know what they're talking about, then you're going to get a lot of factual knowledge. Like, I tend to stick around instead of these people that spend all their time talking like they know a lot. get into podcasts like the Iron Lords or even ourselves, where we get developers and engineers and things onto the show.
And you can learn a lot from the devs and the engineers that come onto all these different shows as well.
Yeah, it's the best way to do it. Best way to do it. And again, having diverse sets of minds instead of everybody like an echo chamber. Like the reason Boom Show's doing so well is because obviously on prime time, it isn't an echo chamber. Like there's several different viewpoints on it, and we're never always the same viewpoint, but we'll go, oh yeah, that makes sense when we hear each other's point of views, and likewise we can all have different contrasting viewpoints on things. But yeah, it's awesome. The gaming's always going to forever grow, and it's always going to evolve. And that's the thing that people to keep on top of it, you need to really pay attention to it at all times.
Like Pong Soul says, we're in the golden age of gaming at the moment.
We are. And it's never like technology's going at a rate of knots that has never really been prevalent before. Like even if you have a look back to when Sega, like 20 years ago, to the Sega and then Super Nintendo and things like that, 20 odd years ago now. But even when you look back to that and then you look to where we've come to these days compared to what we had, it's a massive stride, but we're making strides much quicker now than we ever have. It's never been as quick as we are now. We're talking like we're going into AR, VR, metaverses. We're talking about like not just the graphical side of things, but we're able to, even with the tools like DLSS or FSR, able to put out a crystal clear image that resembles 4K, but it isn't, and you wouldn't tell the difference if it was side by side. It's just such a so many tools available now to get as many people involved in development of games than there ever has been. Like previously, it was just like specifically when games were originally being created, it was just an abundance of people working from home or in their garages or making games for out of their own money, and then having to find somebody to kind of put that game to and port it themselves. Like loads of PC developers creating games on PC, like porting it themselves and trying to get the word out. And now you can download, like I could download Unreal Engine 5 now, play around with it there and make something. Like if I put enough time into it, I could make a game.
Yeah, same. You can do the same with like Unity and all that, and Blender, stuff like that.
Now anybody in their house can make a game. And speaking of, this is part of the reason we kind of do these indie shows as well now every year. Speaking to all these developers who, like, some of them are still in university or college and things like that, and they're all making games on the side, where they've had investment or done GoFundMes and things like that to kind of generate money for their projects and Kickstarters. And it's phenomenal to see how many more people are able to develop games now than there ever has. It's never been in a better place because there's more tools than ever to get everybody involved. And I've mentioned this on Twitter as well, but I mean, there was, as it stands, there's 26 million software developers worldwide. And that's forecast to go up to 40 million by 2030. And that's sheerly just down to the tools available. So it's just an insane viewpoint on development and game development, and why it's the biggest medium in the world. Like no one can just go out and make a movie. That isn't just
growing as well.
You can try and make a film, but then you've got to pitch it to somebody to try and get it to go anywhere, or be in a studio, or be released in pictures. Like you can't just make a movie and release it in the cinema. That's not how it works. Like you can't just release it so everybody can see it. You have to go like Paris. The Paris Film Festival is where a lot of indie films get shown off for the first time, and if they're then successful, they might get a cinema release. Or if you don't get like a big studio to back you, then your film's dead. It's gone. Video games isn't like that. A video game can literally release wherever it wants to release if you're a good enough developer and you do the work.
And anyone can learn how to make video games. There's online courses out there that can teach you how to do it.
Oh, 100%. 100%. We'll go back to one question though, and there's Paul saying General is awesome too.
Thanks, Paul.
Want to go back up to I'm on the fence with DL2 and what it's like on a 4K screen. I was so hyped for it until the resolution. Bear in mind, my monitor's 4K and it looked terrible. No DLSS is no Dying Light. Dying Light isn't using an upscaler. Dying Light is not using an upscaler. It's just using the built-in upscaler that we always have had in any console, where it just takes the 1080p images and literally upscales it to 4K. So you'll still get the soft 4K image. It's not using DLSS. It's not using FSR. Further games will be implemented, but they're not. PC, if you have a PC, that's the best way to kind of look at games with DLSS and things built in, because that's where it's being used. FSR is the only one that's coming to console, because both of these consoles have AMD hardware in them. They don't have NVIDIA. So we'll get FSR's version when that eventually releases, but that's still in its infancy. But it's going to be within the next couple of years is that'll start coming into play a little bit more. I mean, it will make better. It just means that consoles like the Series S will be able to push out a higher resolution whilst still using it essentially a 1080p image. It's going to be a Forks 4K, but it'll look tremendous.
Cool, I've been trying to fight off a yawn for the past 10 minutes.
Back up to a question, though, that Paul did ask, and that's for both of us, but I'll go to you first, Jen. What's your next game that you're interested in buying?
That's one to think on. The next big one, Starfield.
Yeah. The big one.
Or Saints Row as well. I'm a huge fan of Saints Row, and I'm looking forward to the reboot.
Yeah. For me, my previous one was, and I'll keep that up actually for a second. My previous one was I got Crossfire X, because that was only £20 for the full thing. And yes, you get half the game in Game Pass, but I wanted to just play it all the way through instead of experiencing half and then giving an idea on half. So £20, can't really go wrong. Before that was Pokemon Arceus Legends. The next big one after this, if I had a PlayStation 5, it would have been Horizon Forbidden West, but I refused to play that game on the PlayStation 4 Pro. So I'm waiting. Likewise, God of War.
Death Stranding on the PS4. It's so loud, the PS4.
I had to turn the volume on PC because I got Death Stranding on the PC for like £10. And like it's recommended, the recommended hardware for on PC is only like a 1080.
Really?
Yeah. It doesn't require anything. Like I've got it full tilt.
I got it on PS4 when it first came out.
Everything,
so I paid full price for it.
And it's like locked 60 frames. Doesn't have any drops.
I don't think I'd rebuy it on PC. I think I'll just play it on PlayStation 4 and be done with it.
Just keep it on that. But yeah, so next one then, I don't know. It's possibly Starfield. Like I say, I want the Sony games, but I'm waiting to get a PlayStation 5 instead of playing them on the PlayStation 4. So whenever that is, I'll be getting them. I'm not in no rush, to be fair, either. Never in a massive rush. God of War, if I had the same hype for it as I did the first one, then I'd be in more of a rush to get it. But I'm not, because I don't have the same hype for the second one as I did the first one. I don't think the story's going to have the same kick to it as the first one did. The first reboot, should we say. So yeah, probably the same. Probably Starfield, to be fair. Like I say, I've got Crossfire. It was only £20. Yes, it's odd that there is barely any marketing for it.
Yeah, that is strange.
But I think
it's out in a few days' time, and there's not been anything really on it.
We spoke about this before. Looking at the recent documents or spiel from the developers, it looks more like instead of it being the Remedy that's done the campaign, it's more like Smilegate have done the campaign with Remedy helping them, as opposed to Remedy doing the campaign with Smilegate helping them. So it looks like it's more of a Smilegate game than Remedy ever was. I think they've just kind of helped out in the background, which is why Remedy aren't really pushing it.
I wonder if Remedy helped more with the story.
I
wonder if Remedy helped more with like the story elements of the game.
Oh yeah, they had nothing to do with the multiplayer. It was more just down to the single player. Smilegate did the multiplayer all themselves. So, but we'll see. We'll see. I might because it sounds like it doesn't look like it's going to be a big game. It doesn't look like it's going to be a long game. So I might do a review on it for anybody that's on the fence. Yes, you get half the campaign in Game Pass, but it's only half. Whether or not that first half is intentionally to try and get you to buy the second half, and leaves it on the cliffhanger, I don't know. But they're two operations, so I would imagine the first operation gives you part of the story, and the second operation finishes it off. So I might do or do a playthrough of it. You never know. Might just do that. But there we go. This has been an awesome another episode of the Midweek Mix-Up Weekend Edition, as usual.
A good time.
Yes, good timing. Good timing. I'm going to get some food.
I still can't stop thinking about Condemned.
Yeah. I want that game to come back so much. Before we wrap it up, I did put a poll out earlier. GTA 6, will it have a traditional story? Of course, there was only 12 people watching, and all 12 voted. So thank you, everybody. But the vote on the GTA 6 there ended very close. 58% of people said yes, it will have a traditional story. 41% said no.
I'm one of those 41%.
Yeah. So it's definitely up in the air. People aren't sure because of how popular it has been. I think, much like yourself, it will be a hybrid. The traditional story will be built into the online.
Yeah, that's what I'm
It
feeling.
will be a traditional story. You'll probably not get harassed while you're doing the story missions. Like, they'll turn off some of the online aspects of it so people don't try to just murder you every time you're trying to do your story.
That's so annoying when you're doing that in GTA.
The story missions, and you go back to the open world aspect after you've completed that mission, then it'll go back to online only. So yeah, I think it's possibly end up going to be like a hybrid as opposed to them being separate. So we'll see. We shall see. But yes, again, massive shout out to everybody who joined us again this week. General C, if you let people know, of course, where they can find you, brother, and what you're up to this week.
You can find me on Twitter, _general_C. Same on Twitch when I get back to streaming.
Yeah, so I've got to do exactly the same. Like, I had a massive push on Twitch and played a lot, and now I haven't played on Twitch for ages. And thankfully, like I say, we do these streams on Twitch every week as well
I've
as
done
YouTube.
the same. Yeah, it's been restricted, like, because of the PC. But my new PC, I'll be ordering very, very soon. Like, maybe next week.
Woo!
And then I'll be back to making videos. So yeah, I can't wait. I've been wanting to make videos for weeks now, and just the PC's been so slow. I've not been able to. But yeah, so should hopefully be getting that new PC very, very soon.
Yes, most definitely. Happy days. And what are you going to be playing this week then? Are you going to be playing a little bit? What are you going to be doing?
Probably play a bit more on Nexamon, maybe complete it.
Yes. I don't even know how big that game is, so you're going to have to tell us, because I've played a little bit of it, but obviously I've been playing Pokemon, so...
Yeah. Play a bit more of that Flynn Son of Crimson. I'm really enjoying that, but I'm stuck. I'm not quick enough to get past this bloody boulder that keeps squishing me. Death Stranding, on and off, pretty much what I'm going to be playing. And obviously, I'll be trying out Crossfire.
Nice. Well, I think I'm going to get some food, and then I might even stream a little bit on Twitch after this. You never know. I might play some games. I'm going to get some food first anyway, get a few drinks downers, and then relax a bit before work tomorrow. Other than that, chaps, of course, you can find me over on Primetime Gaming tomorrow night, along with one of the guests, which is part of the collective as well, Chris from 1 Hour One Decision. So he'll be looking forward to that one. Other than that, this Wednesday, of course, we have Miles Dompier from Windows Central, who'll be joining us as special guest. Is a later than usual show to accommodate him being on the show. That will start at 9:30 p.m. In the UK. That's 10:30 at night for Europeans, or 4:30 in the afternoon for the Americans, their ET time. So obviously You can join us. We're going to have a little bit of a mishmash panels. We're going to have a couple of the regulars from our usual panel, plus I think Xbox Mick will be joining us as well, and the General C.
Yep, I'll be there.
So that'll
Talking
be
all the horror games with Miles.
Horror games with Miles, yes.
Yeah,
That'll be an
forward to that.
interesting topic. We'll be diving into that a bit more. But looking forward to seeing you all there. Thank you all again for joining us today. We hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, your Sunday evening or afternoon, wherever you hail from. Have a great one, and we will see you all again next time. Remember, guys, this show was sponsored, of course, by Manscaped. Make sure your family jewels are well protected and well looked after. And of course, get 20% off at Manscaped with our code Midweek Mixup or MWMU at manscaped.com. Until the next time, chaps, have a good night, and we'll see you all again later.
See you later, chat. It's been great.